So if you've been following my channel for a while, you probably know that I've done 2 videos testing out ChatGPT's ability to do a math contest. And if you follow those videos, you would know that it absolutely bombed them. It only gets the 11th percentile, which would put you like basically at 17th percentile, getting below the 20th percentile, like the bottom 20% of contest takers. And these contests were like very long ago. Like one was 1999, the other was 2017. So people have improved by then, and so have the contests. And they're still in the bottom percentile of people, which is kind of embarrassing. So recently it came to my attention that there's another kind of math AI tool called MotionShark.net, and I just want to know if this is better or worse than ChatGPT. Because a lot of people I know these days are just taking their homework questions and throwing them into like ChatGPT or like math tutor stuff. And I just want to see, are they actually like good, you know? Are these things trustworthy, you know, or are they going to be horrible? And that's what we're going to find out today. So I'm going to go on MotionShark.net. I hope this actually isn't a virus. If it is, then rip my computer. And yeah, let's see if this thing is able to do better than ChatGPT. And let's do the easy contest first. We'll start with their standards really low. Okay, so here we are on the website. It looks pretty cool, honestly. And let's see if it can do this. It looks like ChatGPT basically. I don't know if it's the exact same. It might be. I can send images though. It's pretty cool. And yeah, let's just send in the first question. I still have the ChatGPT thing pulled up here, so I think I'll just copy this over. Let's go ahead and paste it over. Let's see what happens, I guess. Oh, it gives you a video. Okay, I see.
To
Oh,
the result comes
that's actually kind of cool though.
1099.
So that was okay. So let's see. It's a video generator, which is actually pretty cool. Other than the an inability to use slash text in LaTeX, this is pretty good. All right. So it has gotten the first question correct. Unsurprising, but ChatGPT got this wrong. So let's see. I wonder if I can get multiple tabs open, or if it will rate limit me. Because at this rate, this video is going to take half an hour to make. And I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to do this. I don't know if it'll rate limit me, but whatever. Alright, and so far has beaten ChatGPT in getting the first 2 problems correct. Congrats. Okay, looks like I accidentally rate limited myself because I just typed in find the derivative. Like, if I type in 1 plus 1, does it just break as well? I think I broke it, so I will have to swap to my second computer or something, I guess. Yeah, I think I've been rate limited. That's hilarious. My bad. Okay, so I went on my other computer and downloaded all the video files. It took me like a long time. I just did it one at a time. It was like a very long time. But yeah, we're gonna watch
Susan
these
wants
now, I
to place
suppose. Next question is pretty simple. You just put 35.5 kg into 0.5 kg bags. It does it pretty nicely. You just divide that, and then you just sign 71, and then you find the answer is E. So pretty simple question there. All right, here we have question 4. So what? That's crazy. What the hell? Okay, like it just like what? That's very interesting. It subtracted 1/8 from both sides to prove these are equal, but then it proved these are equal, but then it didn't prove that this is the answer. So then I thought it was the answer, and then it got it wrong. But yeah, nah, bro, it doesn't work. Now the next one, it renders a bit weirdly. This is just 6 squared. If you delete all the like weird A's, it will give you normalcy. And if we let it just cook, we'll see that it just manually evaluates everything like a normal person, getting that the dash is for some reason the multiply. And yeah, it's just an odd number, no way. And yeah, the answer is E. Next question is very easy. He uses a 128 milliliter tube 4 times a day. So you just divide that and then 32 days, and you just compare it and find the answer is A. Now this is the first question that is, I think, a bit tricky. This is the ChatGPT one, and the ChatGPT got wrong. It somehow just does this and is fine, which is pretty lucky. I don't know if it like actually knew about it, because technically speaking, there are not 6 posts, there are actually 7 posts along the width, and there are actually 9 posts along the length. So I think it just gets superbly lucky here that it gets it correct, but it does get it correct nevertheless. If this was a proof contest, I might have deducted like a mark because the solution wasn't actually correct. They just stumbled upon it. But the bot does get it correct, so congrats there. And that officially puts it above ChatGPT and the degree sign is rendered as A with a hat with the euro sign trademarked. No, actually that's not. That's the apostrophe. The degree sign didn't exist apparently. That's pretty crazy. But anyways, that's supposed to be the apostrophe. It's now a euro trademark. Apostrophe. Close enough. Okay, yeah, the mistake here lies in this line right here. So the wording is quite questionable, I'd say. Like, it's quite confusing, not questionable. Tuesday's high temperature was warmer, and then Wednesday high temperature was cooler than that of Monday's. So Monday is actually last here. But you would think that the signs flip, because, Monday is always last, and this is warmer and this is cooler. But apparently the signs actually don't flip, because if you think about it, right? Wednesday's high temperature was less of Monday's, of course, right? This is clearly saying it's more. So the correct thing here would be put a negative sign. It's a bit strange, but it's easier. If you don't think about it in algebraic terms, I think it's pretty easy. But thinking about it in like word terms and algebraic terms, it's really confusing. And unfortunately, here it makes a mistake of adding 6 instead of subtracting 6, so it gets the incorrect answer of 24. So it does this pretty nicely. You have these two numbers adding together to 32, and then you move 36 to the other side to get 68. For some reason, it decides to check its answer, which I guess is fair. But, like, it's never checked its answer before, so I don't know, it's pretty strange. But it checked its answer. Congratulations. And it, of course, pricked the correct answer choice A. So for some reason, sometimes the answer choices don't get rendered here for whatever reason. I don't know why. I have entered all of them with the answer choices. Like, it obviously, like, took in the answer choice. It just chose not to render them. So, I've, like, added images of the answer choices, like, in the corner, like you can see over here, to represent those. But yeah, it got this one correct, which is very nice. Now, on to the last question of section A with ChatGPT actually got wrong. Now this one is, like, really easy. You just, like, subtract. And it does it correctly, it just subtracts, and we are done with the questions. And that is the end of section A. And if I sound, like, particularly dead, that's just because I have a sore throat. So I don't know why I'm recording this, but okay, whatever. So this is the next tricky-ish question, and I want to see if it does the same thing and gets it correct anyways. Let's see what it does.
We subtract 2 from the number of tiles touching the shorter wall to avoid double counting the 4 corners of the room.
So it actually manages to do that, actually. So it's off the screen here because of, I don't know, bad coding or whatever, I don't know. But it's over here somewhere. But it does manage to realize that you should subtract 4 to not overcount. And it helps itself reach the correct answer of 20. Anyways, the solution is correct here, but it's really convoluted for some reason. So it starts with a ratio, which is nice and all, but then it does this very overcomplicated, well, it does a ratio here, I guess, but then it's like, I don't know, it just looks really bloated because it's like the variables are like miles long, but I mean, why is there an X? That's a times. Yeah, like you can see it's kind of weird. But it does get it correct in the end. It's just 200, and it gets the question correct. It's a pretty easy question, so I'm not really surprised. The question didn't even render here fully, so here it is in full. And basically, you just calculate it manually, and then put it back up, calculate it manually again to get the correct answer. A really boring question. This is another question ChatGPT got wrong, so let's see how it does. So it first starts by finding all the possible side lengths, which is 1, 2, 2, 6, 3, 4, which is indeed correct. And then it adds them all together, so it finds that's 26. It finds this is 16, and it finds this is 14. And indeed, it finds 26 is indeed the maximum one, and it does indeed find the answer, which is really nice. It's not silly, unlike ChatGPT. This one is another fairly simple question. It starts off by adding how many cubes there are, obviously, to find there's 72, and then it finds that green cubes are 9 of them, so the probability is 9 over 72, which is 1 over 8. So very simple solution, which is very, very nice. Okay, so this solution is pretty much an emotional roller coaster. It's actually really funny. So it does this part correctly. So Paul is a coincidence between Paul and Surrender, and then it says Tony is not beside Surrender, so then it puts Tony next to Surrender. And my heart dropped here. Alright, it was really tragic. But then it came back and said, oh, this contradicts the information. So then, obviously, Tony is then the other part over there. So now all we need to do is to find who is sitting next to Tony. And for some reason, the bot puts Quincy and Rochelle. What a throw. Literally had the seating order here and just messed it up so badly. Up next, we have another pretty difficult problem, and I think its inability to draw diagrams really hurts it here. Okay, so here we are on the Epic Drawing tool, and I think it's pretty good for us to kind of figure out what it's doing here, because my throat's dying. Gosh, I should not be trying to record a video at this time. I think it's pretty useful for us to figure out what it's doing, just because it's really hard to explain with words. So here we have our 1 and our 4 and 16 square, and we have our two rectangles. And what it tells us here is that the area of the big square is obviously the area of the side of the rectangle plus side 1 or side 2. Now, which is correct? The short side goes with the long, and the long side here goes with the short. Which it does here, and it is pretty much correct. I just think it's a really weird way of solving the problem when we can just do 2 and 4 and be done, but whatever. So it lets the side of the rectangle be x, but the mistake it makes here is it assumes that the rectangle has two equal sides, which it kind of hinted here by saying side rectangle, because if you say this on your math test, your teacher will look at you and think you are mentally insane. So it does this, and it tries to solve this, and it finds out that I don't know, the area is one of these two values, which makes no sense because x has to be like what, -1 to make this true? No, wait, that makes no sense. I don't know. I don't want to try solving that. Don't understand what it's doing to expand the brackets here. It's clearly failing miserably to expand the brackets. It pulls out of nowhere that x is 3. Actually, let me listen to the video. I might have an explanation for why it's 3. So this is not how you expand brackets. Please don't expand brackets like this. And first of all, these simply aren't equal. But I'm wondering if solving this normally gives you x is equal to 3, and why they've put 20 there as one of their answers. In case you don't know, the correct way to expand this is to this is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So a in this case is 2. So we put 2 squared, which is 4, which is, I just flipped it out of convention. But and then b here is x, so you have x squared, which is here, and then 2 times a times b. So when you multiply these two together, you get 2, and then multiply 2 again to get 4x. So that's what you get from this one. Now if we do 4 plus x squared, again, we're going to, let's do a reverse time. We get 16 from 4 squared, we multiply 4x and 2 to get 8x, and then we get x squared, obviously. So I wonder what happens if you solve this equation. I think you do indeed get, you get -12? Okay, that's pretty strange. So x is actually -3, but I think it just, for some reason, it just decided to, oh well, haha. And I think, yeah, -3 is correct here, because you would get 2 minus 3 squared, and 4 minus 3 squared. We have a -1 and a 1, which would make them equal. So yeah, I didn't solve it correctly, which is kind of sad. And that is the mistake it makes here, which is pretty interesting. But I'm not sure where it substituted x into, because if you substitute x into this, you'll get 1, and if you substitute x into this, you'll get 26. So I think it just like randomly said 20 out of like literally nowhere. Like, what's step 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is step 9. Oh, it just, wait, no, that makes no sense. That still doesn't give you 20. So I don't know what the plot's on. But yeah, it failed this one really badly, just like ChatGPT. Apparently this question is too hard for Math AI. Okay, this is hilarious. So it starts off by categorizing that 3 of them are even and 2 of them are odd. So then it calls the 2 odd days S1 and S2, and then it gives this equation right here saying that n is an integer. I'll give you a quote.
Be equal to 7 times some integer n plus 1.
But this is actually wrong. There are actually 14 days between the odd numbers. Sundays, for common sense, I don't know. The Sundays are either 7, 14, 21, or 28 days apart. And, I don't know, it's clearly even, odd, even, because the next Sunday is 7 days after. And if you take even and you add an odd number, it turns odd, right? So, obviously, they have to be 14 days apart, which means that this number is 14. But it doesn't really matter, because the bot doesn't use this anyways. It just uses this, because S2 is an even day. It just called S2 odd. And then it called it even all of a sudden, for no reason whatsoever. Just, yup, like we have 2 lines that just make absolutely no sense. So then S1 is either the 1st or 29th for some reason. I don't know why. And then it assumes that S1 is the first, or I don't know. Or like, I don't know. It says, I guess it's saying the first is a Sunday, which is wrong because then you have 3 odd Sundays, but whatever. And then it says 1st April is Sunday, and then 8th April is also a Sunday, so obviously it's a Sunday. And it had a multitude of mistakes, as I've shown, and this is unfortunately incorrect, but at least I didn't Google it like ChatGPT. Now for the next question, it actually has a really, really nice solution, so I'll present it to you. I'll just walk it through step by step. So it first tells us that if the video wants to load, is that Juan must have gotten 6 points from winning. Apologies for my horrible speaking skills. Tells us about Mary's score, right? Mary's final score is 5, and Mary won an unknown number of games, but Mary has lost a certain amount of games that we do know, right? Because there's no ties. I don't know if the question specifically says there are no ties, but there are no ties. So if Juan wins, then Mary has to lose, and vice versa, okay? So if Juan wins 3 times, that means Mary's lost 3 times, right? So we get this nice little equation here. When we solve this, we find that Mary must have gotten 8 points from winning, right? Which means that she won 4 games. So if Juan wins 3 and Mary wins 8, the answer is then 7. So it's really, really good, and I'm really proud of this AI for finding this really nice solution. Because, you know, if you are a student confused on how to solve this problem, this would be really good. Okay, unfortunately the bot does not carry the momentum into the next question as it instantly gets this question wrong. So the first thing it says here is that
we will begin by coloring each of the 4 vertical edges of the cube red.
We're going to start by coloring the 4 vertical edges red. And at this point it's already wrong, unfortunately, right? The answer is 3. You can see the solution in my other video. But the issue with this thing right here is that these 2 edges are actually needed, right? Actually, yeah, they're not needed. Because this edge right here accounts for the bottom face and the face facing us right now. And this edge right here accounts for the top face and the face that's like technically hidden from view. So these 2 edges are needed, which is the issue in its solution. But it goes ahead with using these edges anyways. The next thing it does is you really can't tell from the solution here because it's in the audio. But then it says,
now visualize placing one more red edge on the top face of the cube. This adds an additional red edge, but it also ensures that the top face of the cube has at least one red edge. Repeat this process for the bottom face of the cube. This adds another additional red edge.
So obviously we see that this face right here and this face right here has no edges. So it tells me to color the bottom edge of the cube, like right there, and then it tells me to color the top edge of the cube right here. Which, I mean, does kind of work. It gets these 2 to have a red edge, but this one now has 3, so you've like grossly overstepped. So random 1785, the editor here, and I realized I interpreted it incorrectly. Vertical edges actually look like this in the image. That's what it meant by color the 4 vertical edges. And then it makes the top face and bottom face make more sense. So for all intents and purposes, you can just rotate my diagram like 90 degrees. Or like just flip the cube to its side and it'll make sense, I guess. But it doesn't even matter. Like, it's still symmetrical. And you get the point, I hope. And it adds all the edges you've colored together to be 6. And leaves that as the answer. And unfortunately, this is incorrect, as, you know, you put 3 here. Like, why did you put 3 here? My goodness gracious. And with that, we are out of the B section and into the final section of the contest. Part C, where the 5 toughest problems of the contest lie. Here is the first problem. It's honestly a really good problem. Now, this is again one of those times where the bot finds the optimal solution that is quite beautiful and very, very nice. So it tells us that if we sank all the shots, we would get 55 points. And if we want to miss 2 shots, which is exactly, if we miss exactly 2 shots, then we're going to lose the points off of 2 shots, right? And obviously the 2 shots can be 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. We can miss the 1-point shot, we can miss the 4-point shot, we can miss the 10-point shot, we can miss the 9-point shot. But what we cannot miss is the 10 and the 10. To get to 35, you need to miss the 10 and the 10. So it just counts up. It just basically finds all the possible, which I think is not the best way to do it, but okay. But you can see that if you just match up these with the list of given scores, 35 is not on it, and consequentially, it is the answer. So it's a really good solution. It is a bit overcomplicated with this line right here, but honestly, it's not horrible. And yeah, it takes the points. Congratulations. So here we have the next question, which is a pretty tricky question for AI, especially since you have to visualize this really weird diagram with these two triangles that, sorry for my horrible line, but like, okay, buddy. With these two triangles that are pretty hard to visualize with text alone. Especially like this part right here, because if you start drawing the diagram, you get like a 12 and you get a 4, and it's very easy to think that that is a triangle. That is not what we're doing here. And the mistake it makes in the solution is assuming that the ratios here are constant, which is not the case, right? So if these two triangles were similar, then the ratio between the height and the base will be equal to the height and the base here. But because these triangles are not similar, in fact, they're far from it, then this length right here is actually not equal. So that's the mistake it makes here. Distance 1 is this, shadow 1, distance 2, shadow 2. It's actually a pretty nice setup, except it just doesn't work. And then it spends the rest of its time solving this equation, blah, 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 substituting values, I don't care. And it gets it wrong anyways. I don't really care. It got it wrong. It's unfortunate, I know. But yeah, it did not manage to pass this question, sadly. And yeah, it got it wrong. A very weird thing, and the problem I have with the bot is that it uses x as a multiplication sign, which is really annoying because x is used as a variable to solve most of the time. So it's just chilling here as a multiplication sign, and it looks like you're saying 35x 10 to the 6 meters squared. Like, what? But the solution it gets for the next problem is indeed correct. However, what is really strange is that instead of converting the meters into kilometers, as I did when I solved it in the other video, it converted the kilometers squared into meters squared. And it gives you this ugly 10 to the 6 meters squared that just looks like a nightmare to write out. So then it goes ahead and finds the area of a few squares and finds a formula for the nth square, which is pretty nice. And once it figures out that, it factors this random mess out and leaves this as a sum of squares, which is very, very nice. Once it's done that, it factors out, equates it to the total area, divides that, and gets this very simple expression that you can, probably anyone can solve, gets a solution, and indeed there are 7 squares. It's honestly not a bad solution. The only thing I don't like is this, which is going to be confusing to people, especially when I'm trying to explain to them. They're going to be like, what the heck, why are you in 10 to the 6 meters squared? Just use kilometers, which is very, very valid. But other than that, I think it's a really nice solution. And this factoring trick is really nice. Like I said in the beginning when I tried to solve this, I said like, oh, I could set up an equation to solve for this. I just don't want to. And then I bashed the problem. Pretty silly of me. But yeah, this is the way to set up the equation. Very, very nice. So let's break this down step by step. So it starts off really strong. It starts off by listing the ratios, telling us how many guppies there are. And, you know, these two added together is the total. It tells us that, you know, number of goldfish in the first aquarium is 1.5 times number of guppies, and the next one is 5 over 3 times the guppies. So here's where it starts being a bit weird, right? So obviously we know the goldfish is the sum added together, but then gives you this right here. Okay, so it didn't tell this to you explicitly. Like, it doesn't explain why you need 2 times n. The reason why you needed 2 here is because the 1.5 here technically is 3 over 2, and to make this an integer, you need to have like a multiple of 2. That's what it's trying to say here. And then conversely for this one, it needs to be a multiple of 3. So then it tells us that n is equal to 6. This is like the smallest value that keeps both of these integers. And I think if you use like 12 as n, I think you would get, yeah, you would get too many. I think this is really badly worded, but I think at the end of the day it does work in all cases. I don't think it's getting lucky here. But basically it's just the guppy is 12 right here. This value right here is 12. Very simple. I don't know why I didn't understand that. But here it's just a cleanup process. The first tank is 12, second tank is 8, You sub all them in, you find all the values, you add them together to get a lovely answer of 31. Now that I step back and look at the solution, it's actually a way better solution than mine, which is just like kind of like a maximum minimization argument. You know, this is a rooted algebraic solution. It's just missing a bit of justification. So I'll walk back on what I said about its solution. And honestly, it did really well. So congrats to the bot. Just one more question left, and then I can go to sleep, and then I can like not die. The more I talk, the more my throat hurts. Help. Here's the last question of the whole contest. We're almost done. Just please get this over with. Okay, so the solution it uses is basically the exact same solution as mine, and I arguably think that's the only solution. But anyways, it prints it pretty well. So the number of points that like everyone got is the sum of all the points they got. No way, surprising. But we'll see how this is useful in the future. There's 67 points that were gotten in total. Now let's figure out how many games there were, right? So if you have like 4 people in a room and you like make all of them shake hands, it's essentially the same thing as like making all of them like play each other, right? Because you think about it, right? You have 4 teams, and then every time they play a game, they're essentially just shaking hands with each other, right? And the way you can like find this shake hand thing is using something called like combination. Now, this is kind of not the ideal way to write it. But basically, combination allows you to say like, okay, we have 4 people in a room, and we're going to choose 2 of them. And how many groups of 2 can we make? That's what 4 choose 2 does. It's a really nice function in math. And if we use 4 choose 2 here, we'll get 4 teams minus and times 3 teams over 2. And then we have 4 games a team. So when we do this, when we evaluate this out, we'll get there's a total of 24 games played in the entire season. I guess that's a bit of a jump, but I think it should make sense. Just pause and think about it, I guess. Now, we're going to use another kind of strategy called the chicken rabbit cage. This is, I'm not going to bother explaining chicken rabbit cage, or maybe I will. Okay, so we're going to assume everything was a win, okay? And if everything was a win, we would have 3 times 24, which is 72 points. If in a game, one team wins, the other team loses, right? There can't be 2 winners in a game, unfortunately. We don't live in a nice society. So basically there's 2 possible outcomes in a match, all right? Either a team wins and a team loses, which ends up in 3 points going to the total of the league, or both teams draw, and that means 2 points go to the total of the league, okay? So if all the games were wins, we get 72 points. Now what the bot does and what Chicken Rabbit Cage tells us is that's obviously too much. So we need to, replace some of these games with ties, right? What happens if I replace one of these win games with a tied game? Well, then the total score is going to go down by 1, okay? See if you can see how that works. And if we do that 5 times, then we will get to 67 points. And that's essentially how you do it, right? Because if I replace 5 win games with draw games, we take away 5 from the total point value to get 67. And essentially, there are 5 games that were drawn. And it actually gets that correct. It gets the hardest question in the entire contest correct, which is honestly not bad. So, with that being said, let's tally up the points and see how the bot does in the contest. Let's go. Now, originally in the video where I had ChatGPT do the contest, I had this little Excel worksheet that had the scores on it. Unfortunately, I didn't think I would ever do this kind of video again, so I didn't actually save it. So I have to make the whole worksheet over again. So that should be kind of unfortunate. Alright everyone, the scores are in. So on the left we have our new bot, Motion Shark, and on the right here we have ChatGPT for comparison, obviously. And the final score Motion Shark gets is 108. So it is a big improvement over ChatGPT, I'd say. It's like a 41-point improvement, which is pretty good. And it got over 100, which is also pretty nice. And you can see that, it only got a few mistakes there and there. But it was honestly a lot better than whatever dumpster fire I'm looking at over here with ChatGPT. So in conclusion, Motion Shark is pretty good. I mean, it definitely is better than ChatGPT, but it also is still not the best. So do not use AI to do your math homework, because as you can see, especially in the easy questions, it slips up a lot. So do not use AI. to solve these problems, and I will be making Motion Shark do the first contest I made ChatGPT do very, very soon, and let's see if it can do better. And honestly, this thing can accept images, so I can do a lot more contests with it. So I don't know if anyone actually watches the videos. I don't actually upload for like viewer enjoyment. I just upload for the fun of it. So I will be making more videos, I guess, on math. They're a lot easier to make than gaming videos because the editing is a lot easier. So I'll be sticking to math videos for now. You know, this channel has now become math. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, shout out to the creators of Motion Shark. They're pretty cool. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.